Aloha. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We're broadcasting live in the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We can be seen live on livestream.com at the ThinkTech Hawaii channel. And we rebroadcast on Olelo and channel OC16. We've got a great couple of guests today from the community college system here in Hawaii. But before we get into that, I just want to do a little bit of a testimonial, and maybe in the spirit of full disclosure, I wanted to emphasize that I am a product of a community college education, as is my three sons. All three of us, all were community college students. It was a great way to start our careers. All of us went on to a four-year campus when we finished at the community college. But it was very beneficial to us. We got a lot out of it, and I would encourage everybody to at least consider that as an option when they decide to attend college or maybe continue their education. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our two guests today. We've got Erika Lacro. All right, that sounds French. No.
Filipino.
Wow, you don't look Filipino. But Erika Lacro, who is the Chancellor of Honolulu Community College, and then we have Casey Collins, who's the Director of Development for the UH Foundation for the Community Colleges.
Right.
All right, welcome on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is just start out and get to hear a little bit more about your background and your experience and how you got to where you're at. So Erika, could you share some of that with us?
Certainly. I grew up in Hilo, so I went to Hilo High School, and I went on to college at UH Manoa. And I actually studied travel industry management. So I kind of have a different career path than most academics. I started out working at the Hilton Hawaiian Village as a management trainee in housekeeping. So I worked in housekeeping for several years, and then I moved on to the training department there. And then in a transition, I moved over to UH Manoa School of Travel Industry Management, where I was an alumni.
And they have a great program there.
Very
too.
good.
Yeah.
And I ran their internship program for several years. And after about 6 years in different roles, I went over on a one-year appointment to Honolulu Community College as their Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and now...
For just 1 year?
For 1 year. Now it's 9 years later.
Uh-huh.
I've been Chancellor now for 4 years.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you actually born and raised in Hawaii?
Not born, but grew up there, elementary school, and then stayed for college. But this is home for sure.
Very good. Well, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. KC, how about yourself?
Well, I was actually born here in Hawaii. My grandfather moved here about 1908, and my father, of course, grew up here as well, and I was born here and lived on Oahu, and then my father moved us all to the Big Island, where he opened High Terminal back in we won't say the year, and then moved back to Oahu. And actually, my senior of high school, I was in Bangkok, Thailand. My father was with a shipping company out there.
Wow.
And ended up going to Oregon State and San Jose State, got my little degree in advertising and marketing, and came back to Honolulu and worked in that field in marketing and advertising, worked many years at This Week magazines, eventually was the associate publisher. And then I found myself with an opportunity to go into fund development back in 2003. So yeah, I've been here my entire life, with the exception of a few years here and there.
Well, and we'll expand a little bit on exactly what fund development means, but Erika, as a chancellor of a community college, I mean, that sounds like a pretty big job. I mean, what are you responsible for?
The overall operations of everything that goes on. So what someone would call a president with another organization is exactly what I do. So I oversee all of our facilities, safety, security, fact classes, making sure that our students are moving through in a timely manner to graduation, and really building up, that enrollment base while working with community members, alumni, all of those pieces as well.
A lot of moving parts.
Yep.
That's right. And you also, from what I understand, you travel a little bit too.
I do. I serve on several different commissions. I work with our accrediting agency, where I'll be chairing a accrediting commission in the upcoming year. And so I get a chance to really network with the folks on the national level as well, which helps me do my job better as I see best practices working across the nation for community colleges.
Well, and you can bring a lot of that information back, and it would help not only the community college at Honolulu, but also maybe statewide.
Right, so there's 7 of us statewide out of the 10 campus system, and so we all work very closely together in really adopting these best practices, things that are helping students succeed.
Very good. And I guess things tend to change. I mean, when I was going to HCC, it was probably back in the late 70s. And I guess things have changed a little bit since then.
Things are changing. We're realizing that we need very well-defined pathways for students to come in, know what they need to take, have that offered when they need it so they don't end up looking for sections that are closed. So we're doing a lot more now with really efficient and effective scheduling of courses.
Very good. And I know the campus has changed a little bit.
It has. So we have 24 programs. We have a robust liberal arts program that 40% of our students are in, but then we have 23 other career and technical ed programs that students a lot of times are just looking to earn their certificate or degree, but really to be workforce ready.
Right.
And then on the other side of it, that's our credit programs. We also run the state apprenticeship program for trades for Honolulu. And so we're the hub there, where we have sometimes up to 3,500 students enrolled in apprenticeship training programs.
3,500 just in the apprentice program?
Just in apprenticeship.
Wow, very good. KC?
Yeah.
What does your job entail?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I started, or really more like fell into fund development in 2003. And a lot of people, I think, did the same thing. You'll find a lot of people who were in sales or marketing and advertising, those sorts of fields, and then find themselves in the fundraising side of things. And so in 2003, the foundation at that time was raising approximately $35 million a year. The foundation is now 60 years old. When it first started, the first year they raised about $18,000. Now, from the time I started in 2003 to today, we're raising in the arena of $65 million. So that's a pretty short window of time for growing the funds that we're asking people to support the university. But when I first started, it was more along the lines of what would the donor like to do, and if it's $100 or $1,000 or $5,000 a year, would you like to give that over 5 years, and would that gift then be a $25,000 gift or, you know, a $1,000 gift over time? And those gifts, of course, went to support everything from scholarships to programs to specific needs within the university. Today, one of the reasons why I think we are raising so much more is we are trying to communicate with donors about looking at their estate, because that's the one time in your life where you could leave everything to your kids but carve out 10% or 5% to your school or area or campus of choice. And that's, we're doing well in that, and I think people are looking at that sort of avenue. It's for the tax reasons, and also they have an opportunity, something really large and impactful for the campus.
Right.
That
You
they
do
choose.
that statewide.
I
Right?
do.
It's all over the Hawaii.
Yes, for me, for the community colleges, I'm the executive director, and I have someone on Kauai, I have someone at Kapiolani, I have someone on Maui, and now I have someone in Hawaii CC in the Hilo campus. Hawaii CC now has a Palamanui campus, their new campus in Kona. But, so I do have a team. I do work directly with Erika as well as 2 other chancellors, and we're focusing on the Culinary Institute of the Pacific. So we're spread pretty thin, but we're just doing our best to ask donors to step forward to say, how can I help? And then we start a conversation.
Very good. And so I guess you work very closely with the chancellors on all the different campuses.
We do.
That's good. I guess that's important.
Right. The chancellors develop their initiatives. What are the things that they really see for their future? And I'm there to sort of help them develop that a little bit more, because we want every initiative that's important to the chancellor to really rest on 3 things, which is, how are you changing lives? And why is what your program doing unique? How is it different and unique? And why do you need funding now? And if we can do that and share that with prospective donors, it gets pretty exciting and pretty rewarding.
Yeah. Well, Erika, how does Honolulu Community College differ from the other campuses? Is it unique in some way?
We all have our own kind of uniqueness. When you think about Kapi'olani, you may think about their culinary programs or their healthcare. Honolulu.
I think about food.
Honolulu is very focused on the transportation and trades, and then some of the softer trades, so cosmetology, early childhood education, and then on the trade side, we've got welding, carpentry, sheet metal and plastics. So it's a really wide variety of different career areas that are meant to get people geared up and ready for the workforce. Other campuses may be focused more so on the transfer path, so those that want to go to UH Manoa or one of the other four-year institutions.
Some of this trade training that you offer, I mean, it can be as short as a year or 6 months. I mean, you can accelerate and go through this program a little bit quicker than you can through a standard university type program.
Exactly. So in most cases, certificate programs range from about a year. The 2-year degree then would normally take someone 2 years full time to finish and get out. But we also have the Pacific Center for Advanced Technology Training, which is focused on usually high-tech training for folks that are already in the workforce that need to gear up or retool to have those skills to be able to be competitive. We do a lot in cybersecurity and networking now.
Wow.
So we've got all different kinds of paths. So whatever someone needs, we usually can find somewhere to put them.
Now, does any of this lead to, I know, for example, Microsoft has certain certifications that they can get specifically for their product. Do you work with the students as they go through the program to get some of these certifications, or how does that work?
Right, so we have a CENT program that focuses on computer engineering network technology, and they have embedded within their curriculum, they'll be learning about Cisco certifications, but we would also be offering those in non-credit arenas too, and also partnering with the high schools to get high school students involved and interested in this area, since we know there's thousands of jobs that are going to be coming available, good paying jobs for Hawaii residents in Hawaii.
I know, as I mentioned earlier, all three of my sons are community college product. And my son actually got a position out of Pearl Harbor in the shipyards and went through the apprentice program to be a pipe fitter, and went through a 2-year program with HCC, which you actually offered this program out at the base.
At Pearl Harbor, correct.
Yeah, so I know it worked out very well for him, and I guess there's a good demand for that.
There really is, and those positions, we have about 140 slots that come open, and we get up to 4,000 applicants each time, so it's highly competitive as well.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, let's hold that thought for a second. We're going to go on a short break for about 60 seconds. We'll be right back. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker, and we're talking with Honolulu Community College and the Executive Director of Fund Development for UH Foundation. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. I'm host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is our flagship show, which plays 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. And the supporters of that show are Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and Hawaii Energy. And luckily enough, we have representatives of both of them right here today to tell you more about what they think about the show. Sharon Moriwaki at my left is co-chair of Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and she goes first. Sharon?
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. I'm so glad that we have this Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. This was 2 years ago when we started this, and we have continued it because it's so important, and there's so many developments happening across the state, and we hope you'll tune in every Wednesday, 4 to 5. It's wonderful.
And Ray is Hawaii Energy. Ray, what is your thought about the same subject?
Well, I agree completely with Sharon that we are talking about every Wednesday, 4 to 5. We talk about some of the most important subjects that are affecting the islands now and into the future. Energy, clean energy, we need it. We often run into new ideas that we had not thought about before. We did just today, and I think we're going to have more of that in the future. So come on down and watch us 4 to 5 on Wednesdays, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see you then. Aloha.
Aloha.
Welcome back. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker, and I'm here with two guests today. One is the Chancellor of Honolulu Community College, and the other one is the Executive Director of Fund Development for the University Foundation. So thank you, I'm glad you can both be here today. Erika, before the break, we were just getting into a little bit of details on some of the different programs that you have out at Honolulu Community College. Could you go into a little bit more detail in some of the more exciting ones that you might have there?
Sure. So we have our Melee program, which is one of our newest programs that we have available. And that program is called Music Entertainment and Learning Experience. So within that program, students are learning audio engineering on huge high-tech soundboards, as well as music business. And that program came about in 2007 and 8 is when the development started. And at this point, we probably have the most high-tech recording studio in the state because it's so relatively new and that technology changes so quick.
And I was fortunate enough to go out and have a little tour of that facility, and it is impressive. I mean, it's a huge recording studio.
It's gorgeous, and it's great hands-on experience for our students. They're doing internships as part of that program, so many of them have jobs just as they're exiting, which are great jobs for our industry.
So that's a real positive for the industry, for the entertainment industry here in Hawaii. That's great. So we need to educate some of the movie production companies about this too, because there could be some technicians that they could use.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. And what else do you have out there?
We're doing a lot with our veterans, so we're working really hard on building up support services so those exiting the military have the opportunity to come in and pursue a degree that they're interested in. And even more so beyond that, looking at the skills they got in the military and being able to apply that to their degree path. So we've recently instituted what we call PLA, which is prior learning experience, and that allows people to take, say they were working with electronics, excuse me, and technology in the workforce, they then can take those skills and we'll see where that fits in the degree path where they wouldn't need to be taking courses that would have already taught them what they know.
Right. But there's also the trades that you could also, maybe steer them in the direction of taking some of these skill sets that they already have and be able to help transition it into a civilian type of environment.
Exactly. So a good example of that might be our AEC program, which is a drafting program using AutoCAD and other technologies like that, where they may have been doing drafting in the military and now they have the opportunity to convert that into possibly a path that goes into architectural design.
Very good. And you mentioned you have staff on board that help, these active duty military, or they could be retired military for that matter, find out which ones were best for them and how to get it paid for?
Exactly. So we have counselors set aside. We have 2 dedicated counselors to veterans, and they'll help look at what the potential student has done in the past and align that with whatever degree path would be the most efficient for them. And then we also have folks in our records office that will help with all the veterans aid that's available.
Wow,
so
that's a big job.
Yeah, the veterans can come in and have tuition paid for, and so we're really trying to make sure that that is a well-published opportunity for our folks.
And do you get a lot of engagement with the commands around Hawaii and you having them involved in the process?
We do. We work closely with the bases. We work closely with the services that help the veterans exit, as well as different organizations like the National Security Association. We're working with them as well. So from all different facets, which is really great.
Very good. And just out of curiosity, how many students from the military or retired do you have on campus?
Oh, we probably have at this point about 30 to 50, but we've got room for growth there, certainly.
Personally, being a veteran myself, I'd like to see it up around 300 to 500.
Exactly.
That'd be great. And Casey, how do you support what Erika's trying to do out at the campus? I mean, how can somebody get involved and help with this?
Well, we work closely together on the initiatives that we feel that donors would get excited about, and we market to our prospective donors. We engage them by inviting them to campus. So what we do is pretty much present opportunities, and we have donors. I was just looking the other day. Last year, 4,300 donors gave to the 7 community colleges. 4,300. So that's all 7 community colleges. That's a lot of people who made a decision to either go online and give a gift or write a check or whatever it was. We have roughly 30,000 students in the community college system, and I sort of would love to see a donor for every student. But We just work with donors to say, here's some things that are going on at the campus. And usually donors will identify what they want to do. Some donors may want to do culture and the arts, some may want to help with veterans, some may want to help with the sciences. So we sort of have this cornucopia of opportunities, and in our discussions, we just explore what would they like to do. And when a donor emails me nowadays, a lot of times, I'd like to do something to help the program that's going to help people learn about plumbing or refrigeration, then I work with her team, and because I don't know anything about plumbing and refrigeration, what are the possibilities? And then I get back to the donor, and the donor gets excited, and here we go, and a gift comes in, and then Erika and her team order the equipment or whatever they need. We do have a lot of donors who want to support scholarships. There's a lot of money in going out the door to support scholarships. I think it's somewhere in the realm of $14 million a year for the entire UH system. I could be off on that number, but I think it's something in that realm. So a lot of donors do like that because they're supporting a specific person, not a person that they choose, but a specific person. And
in that theme, Erika, what do you think an average year's worth of education would cost? I know it depends upon the program, and that's a hard number, but if somebody was to donate $2,000, do you think that would pretty much cover the cost of one person's tuition?
The tuition for per credit, so it does depend on what program you're looking at. So per credit, just over $100. And so if you average that out and a student's taking 15 credits, which is a full-time load, it could be about $3,000 for the year in tuition fees, and then books is on top of that. And then depending on what program they are in, sometimes tool costs can also be an issue for those that are studying automotive technology. There's a lot of tools they may need to purchase.
More than just a screwdriver.
Yes, yes, high tech.
When I talk to donors, I generally say the ballpark is exactly what she said, 3,000. And then when you have extras like tools, or if you're in cosmetology, I mean, that could be a lot too. So.
Well, and being a numbers guy, I like to break things down a little bit like that, and so it's easy for me to get my head around the number of $3,000, and that would pay for the tuition of one student for an entire year.
Full-time, right?
Yeah.
But what's interesting there, because I've worked with financial aid directors at all of the campus for many years, if a donor gives $3,000, we like the donor to be amenable to letting the committee at each campus decide how that $3,000 is going to be broken up, because the financial aid directors, who are extraordinarily hardworking, know the students and where they are and what they need. And yes, that $3,000 may go to one student, but they may know 3 students who, if they give each $1,000, they're going to keep 3 people in school.
Right.
So we do like donors to be flexible, to let the financial aid directors and the committees
Keep it unrestricted, but for them to think that $3,000 will educate a student,
Right.
however they divvy that up,
Right,
it
right.
can be done.
So
later.
donors can restrict slightly. They can develop the criteria. I want to give to students who graduated from a Hawaii high school, or I want to give students who
I
have a
see.
2.5 or above GPA. But past that, then you have to leave it up to the financial aid directors and the committees that the chancellors
Right,
appoint.
right. And in addition to being able to help the student or students get through their education, there's also tax advantages. Now, having a little bit of a CPA background, I mean, if to give $3,000 gives you a deduction. You can get a deduction and maybe save $1,000 in taxes in doing that. And if it's an appreciable type of asset, say a stock, you don't have to pay any capital gains. You can donate the stock directly.
Yeah, you
Get the
transfer it directly to us. We sell it. It is our policy to immediately sell. And then we take those funds and use it to what you have designed and what you want.
Right.
Which campus, which program.
So you avoid the capital gains. You don't have to pay any taxes on the capital gains. You get the $3,000, just using that number,
Right.
contribution, which you can then deduct. And plus you're helping somebody out in the process. I mean, it sounds like a win-win all the way around.
It is.
Right.
That's very good. And I guess we just had a program last night on this, didn't HCC?
Right, at Honolulu Community College, we were sharing about different ways to help donors look at their estate plans and see if there's an advantage. And we were talking about the IRA minimum required distribution. So there are some folks out there who really don't want to take it because now it's income and I have to pay tax on it. So we have a lot of donors who transfer that to us, and then it goes to the program and whatever they want it to go. So those are some of the things that we work with donors on to help them with tax advantages, and then they still get to be philanthropists.
Very good. And Erika, I can only assume that helps a lot out at the different campuses, including HCC.
Oh yes, we have many, many scholarships, and they all have somewhat different criteria. So it's nice that a donor can come in and say, I really want to support a student that is maybe a C average student, right? Because traditionally scholarships are very competitive and sometimes go to those that have the highest GPAs or what have you.
Or has the financial challenge,
Exactly,
the financial need. So you've got these two groups, those in financial need and then the high performing, high grade, and there seems to be a big puka in the middle.
Right, and we see donors now coming in and saying, I was a C student, but I got through, I got my, my bachelor's or my master's, and I want to help the students who maybe aren't as competitive, and so I'm going to restrict my scholarship to students that are at this level, which is, it's a good thing for those students as well.
Of course. Well, and that way nobody gets left out.
I've had the opportunity to go to many, many scholarship receptions, and for those students who were just barely passing, you hear them talk about how getting the scholarship, they felt so good and so wonderful and so relieved because now they can spend more time on academics, that they then become a B and an A student. It's wonderful to see. I've seen it happen many, many times. So I do ask donors, please, let's not do out the C student, because many times they will rise up from getting that wonderful support.
That's right. Well, and a lot of those C students have had these challenges, and they are out there working full time. When I started at HCC, I was married, I had a child, I had to work full time, I went to school full time. It was a pretty challenging environment. And luckily I had the GI Bill, and back in those days it was a little bit more lucrative, I think, than it is today. But that made all the difference in the world, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's nice to be able to reach out and help these students.
Right. The other things that donors could provide would be, for my programs, they're heavy in equipment and technology, and so that technology is always changing. So sometimes we'll have donors come in from that work environment and say, I want to make a donation so you can replace the 3D printers or the welders or whatever it may be, because that's then also helping prepare their future workforce.
Sure. Now, I know that you want to have the latest technology and the latest equipment, but if there are companies out there that are maybe replacing some equipment or replacing some of the things that they have,
Exactly.
would you be
Gift
interested
in
in
kind.
hearing about that?
That's what we call gift in kind, where for our automotive shop, the dealers may be providing us some of the newer vehicles that we can train their future workforce on. So those are always great conversations to have with organizations or donors as well.
And about a year ago, you got, about 4 or 5 years ago, you got an airplane. A big, very
Really?
large airplane. I mean, they've gotten lots of airplanes, but this was a big airplane to teach and mechanics.
Excellent. Now,
Yeah.
and aviation was one of the areas that you were focusing on. Are you still focusing on that
We
area?
have aeronautics maintenance training out at Lagoon Drive, and so that's our big, our air, workforce
Good.
for the
Well,
airlines.
Again, let's hold that thought. We'll talk a little bit about the aviation mechanics program when we come back, but we're going to go on another 60-second break. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker, and we'll be right back.
Aloha, this is Alice V. Hagan from ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show is a bi-weekly show on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. We invite interesting people, entrepreneurs, fascinating leaders who contribute to the social economic well-being of our state. Please tune in to my show, Business Education Spotlight, ThinkTech Hawaii, bi-weekly, Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. Aloha.
Aloha! How you doing? It's me, Angus McTech, wishing you to welcome and join us to see us on Hibachi Talk on Think Tech Hawaii. Join my co-hosts, Gordo the Tech Czar and Andrew the Security Guy every Friday from 1300 to 1345. We look forward to seeing you. We'll talk tech and we'll have some wee bit of fun. And remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be. Aloha!
Welcome back. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker, and we're here with Honolulu Community College Chancellor and the Executive Director of Fund Development at the University of Hawaii Foundation. Oh, that's a mouthful.
Sorry.
We were just getting into the contributions in kind for different types of equipment that people might have no longer a need for, but Honolulu Community College would have maybe a big need for. So
Correct.
how would somebody do that?
So they can easily contact me. Our contacts are all available on the website under who we are in our administration.
And what is that website address?
It's honolulu.hawaii.edu. And
Okay.
so they should be able to find everything they need there, or just by calling our main line, which always works as well.
Okay. And so if someone reaches out to Erika and says, oh, I've got this big piece of equipment out here, you throw on your coveralls and run out there and...
I would probably take the faculty in the program that would need that equipment to do an assessment of does that fit within our curriculum or not. Because there are times where someone wants to donate something, but we wouldn't necessarily have a need for it within the curriculum we're teaching. But most times we would. So it's a great opportunity for them to be able to do an in-kind donation and for us to take advantage of newer equipment.
Right. Now, Casey, this might be more of a question for you, but if somebody did have, for example, you mentioned an aircraft.
Yes.
If somebody did want to donate something of that size, do you help with getting an appraisal for it, or what's the mechanics in that?
Well, it's on the donor to get an appraisal if they so choose, and to also fill out the IRS form 8283. We have the forms, we have the directions, but the donor needs to
They take the lead on
take
that.
care of that and pay for that, because that is what the IRS will accept. And then they need to write a letter to the chancellor saying, here, I have this airplane, I'm giving it to you, here's the appraisal. And then that all comes up to the foundation, and we then count that, and then the donor gets the IRS form back as being accepted.
And even if it's not an aircraft,
Right.
they
If
can
it's-
give smaller
Oh, of
gifts
course.
as well.
We get
you know,
all sorts
so,
of things.
like computers, printers, as long as they're reasonably current. I guess you don't want to, well, I don't know, if I had a chance to get an old Lisa Mac or something, I might take it because it's probably worth something now. But the older equipment, you don't really need that. You want something a little bit more current.
Right, and equipment that's really specific to that area of study, that's important for us.
Okay. And so if anybody has any interest, they just reach out and
To
then.
me or Erica.
Right. and then
Depending on
start
the
working
campus,
on
I can
that.
handle any campus, but
Right.
everything needs to be assessed by the chancellor's team. Can they really use this? Is it going to help? So I had a donor once who wanted to give me a book of encyclopedias, and gosh, everything is online now, so actually.
Those were hard copies?
Yeah. So I had to say thank you, but they can't really use it. Everything is online, so we can't accept everything, but we're always very appreciative when people do reach out and suggest, I've got this, and can you use it? And then it becomes UH property, and they use it until
Very
forever.
good. Now, it sounds like you've done an awful lot at HCC, and it's been growing. At least my point of reference is back in the 70s, and I've seen the campus today, and I know there's been significant changes and a lot of more additional programs. What does the future look like? Where are you headed?
Well, for us, we're really focused on student success. So you may remember in 2009, when the economy wasn't doing so well, it pushed a lot of people back into school. So that was a huge bump for us. Over the last several years, as the economy has recovered, we've lost some of those enrollment numbers. But what we are focused on is getting more and more students to finish their second year and complete their degree or certificate or transfer on. So right now, we're really with this culture of student-centered, student-focused, and my team doesn't make a decision without really contemplating what will this decision do for students? How is it going to impact student success or deter it? And that's really the guiding principles that we're using in order to make sure that we're meeting Hawaii's goal of more graduates.
And the definition of student success seems to be different, a little bit different today. It doesn't have to necessarily end with a college degree. It could end up with a certificate.
Workforce certificate or a set of training courses that may be non-credit. Anything that's going to help them in their workforce, retool them, reskill them.
Very good. And so you just see that getting bigger and bigger and working to increase the student numbers.
Exactly, and upgrading the programs that we currently have. So in areas where the technology may have lapsed and we really need new technology that's being used in the field so the students are ready to hit the ground running when they graduate or they earn that certificate is important for us.
Now, we've talked about a lot of the military students. We've talked about, some of the students out of high school, but there's also a large workforce that is located, say, within a few miles of your campus, including the downtown. And there's a lot of employers that are downtown that probably could benefit of sending some of their employees to get retooled or get updated on some of their skills. What do you have that could help them?
Well, there's always our apprenticeship offerings in the evening, which that's normally already targeted for someone who's working with an organization. But the other thing that we'd like to see up and running, and we're working to see if we can't find some potential donors or foundations to help us really create a vibrant night program that has all the support services there as well. So it's not like you close the doors at the traditional 4:30 and your student who just got off work in the business community shows up at 5:30 and can't get assistance, but to be able to provide all that wraparound support and be able to have a consistent schedule so they know if they come to us for an evening program, they will be able to finish on time.
Very good. So it's basically just getting the most utilization out of your campus facilities.
Exactly.
And that could run from early morning to late night. Do you have weekend programs?
We do. Apprenticeship is very active during the weekend, and then we do run some Saturday classes, but we also run several different online classes that students don't need to come to campus for, but can do from the comfort of their home. And that also, a lot of times, is a good option for the working adult.
Very good. And again, I know you've already given us this information, but can they find out more of this information on the website?
On the website, or they can call our counseling department.
And what is that website address?
It's honolulu.hawaii.edu.
All right, very good. And if they have any questions, I'm sure there's a help or a contact you
Yes.
piece of that.
Right
that
at the
can help
bottom
them.
of that main page.
Very good. And I guess there's information for people who want to make donations or contributions in kind or otherwise.
Right.
How would they, I guess, reach out? Can they do that through?
uhfoundation.org. We're an ORG. And they can go on our website as well. They can make a gift right on the website. When they go to donate, they can search for funds. You know, we have about 5,000 funds, and we have about 12 to...
What do you mean 5,000 funds? What is
When a
that?
donor comes and says, I want to give $3,000 to students with a C GPA
okay.
who have graduated from, Hawaii High School, that is their fund with their fund number.
Wow.
And then if they decide they want to endow it so that interest income from endowed funds spin off into that fund, there's a matching endowment. So we have over 5,000 expendable funds throughout the entire UH system. And then we have endowments. We have 1,200 or so endowments for 1,200 of those expendable funds.
Sounds like an awful lot of options.
Well, there are many, many options. And so I would encourage anyone, if they have any question, to ask for me or look on the website. We have many development officers. If you're interested in community colleges, call me. I'll help set you, get you going to the right person. If you're interested in Manoa, you can do that. So there's so many options. Sometimes people do get a little confused with which fund. So just give us a call. We'll explain it, and we'll help you through and make sure that the funds that you want to give to that campus will go to that campus.
And then you also have knowledgeable people available, like the speaker last night, that
Right.
could help, explain some of the different types of ways of making a contribution that would be in their best interest, or what
Right.
they could get a big benefit out of from tax-wise. And
We have two attorneys on staff who have, the one last night has 30 years of experience, and the other one, not only does he have an advanced law degree, but he's a CPA, and he's absolutely brilliant. They're both brilliant. They're so much fun to work with. So if someone wants to look at their estate, at least explore it and just say, hey, what could we do here? These guys are really great folks to sit down and just have a cup of coffee and just explore. That's the one thing I'm really hopeful for, that people will just call me or call one of my colleagues and say, I'd like to at least talk about it. You know, and then we just have a conversation. People think my job is just asking people for money, but that's extremely rare. We just talk and explore and look at possibilities and how can this help you and how can we help students. And
It's an education and awareness
Right,
process.
right.
Yeah, very good.
yeah.
Well, if you, Erika, if you had one wish that, you know, you could get for the campus or you can do for the campus, what would that be?
Oh, that's a hard question. I guess I would want some.
That was unexpected.
Yes.
I didn't prep you for
Very
that
hard
one.
question. I guess support to ensure that any program that wanted to upgrade itself to be the highest tech program out there, we would have the ability to do that. And that would be my wish.
Very good. So you've got a technology orientation, and so that's an area you see as high growth. I guess in today's environment, you know, technology really drives a lot of things.
It truly does.
Very good.
Do I get a wish?
Okay, Casey.
Do I get a wish too?
What would your wish be?
You know, Reg, I've worked now for over 13 years at the community colleges. I've seen the extraordinary dedication of the faculty and staff at these campuses. And the students are just wonderful students who deserve to have a wonderful education. And my wish is that we have endowments that are built up so big that the interest income is just throwing so much money at them that they can have the equipment upgrades when they want it. The students will have the scholarships when they need it. They'll have the tutoring and mentoring when they need it. I'd really like them to have all the things that they need to succeed. So
Successful.
that's what I'd like.
It's a very big wish.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's what we're all working for, is to try to somehow incrementally get to that point. Very good.
Anybody who comes to any of our front doors, we really want them to be able to succeed. And for different people, that may require different things. So in the long run, you know, we will continue to design services that are unique for individuals, but having the funds to support that is key.
Very good. Now, we've got about 2 minutes left. How important is the alumni in this process? Can we just spend a couple minutes on that?
Well, I think the alumni are extremely important. I was just chatting with Erika about looking at where gifts come from at the 7 campuses, because I was interested. Because I've known that a lot of the campuses, more gifts come from people who are just friends than from alumni. But her campus is unique in that she has more gifts from alumni than friends. And what I'd like to see is the alumni gifts grow, and in order to do that, we need to reach out and engage and offer them opportunities for alumni to come back and mentor and tutor themselves to see what's going on. And some younger alumni may be interested in networking. Older alumni may want to tutor. But we're hoping to see more alumni get closer, more emotionally engaged with their campuses so that they will think about gifts to the current group of students.
Well, see, you know, being an alumni, I would love to be able to know some of the students that are about to graduate or complete the programs, because not only might I need to hire some people, but I also have a large client base that are looking for people. I get calls all the time from people or employers that are looking to hire good people. And that's, you know, in the small and mid-sized business community here in Hawaii, getting good qualified people is always ranked as one of the top challenges that they have.
Yeah, alumni serve as great mentors for our students. They serve as internship placement opportunities for the students to go and really learn what it takes. And then they can also come to our career placement activities and hire those folks.
Well, that's great. That's something that I'd like to, at some point, learn a little bit more about. Maybe that's the topic of another show.
Maybe we start that.
Very good.
Great.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you both on today's show.
Thank you so much.
It's exciting to see a campus that I started my new professional career at the time, you know, out at HCC. It's really good to see how it's grown and prospered over the last 40 years.
And we're proud to have you as an alumni.
Good. Very good. Thank you for joining us today. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We've been chatting with Erika Lacro.
Lacro.
See, I got it that time. Who's the chancellor out at the Honolulu Community College. And we talked with Casey Collins, who's the executive director for fund development at the University of Hawaii Foundation. We broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock. We are also on livestream.com, and you can see us on YouTube at the Think Tech Hawaii channel. Thank you again. I hope to see you next week. Aloha.